if you take the latest UN climate and environmental report, I'd read a couple of stats. We only have until 2030 to essentially save the planet. I mean, that was, to me, a very striking, very alarming way to put it. The UN hadn't been so stark. What about it grabbed you both?
Well, I think the recent IPCC report just was part of a continuing trend. Every time they issue a new report, it's worse than the last one. So the handwriting's on the wall. I think that, you know, the daunting thing is the average person kind of shuts down. They go into denial. I think, well, what can I do about it as an individual?
You say, and some of the scientists say, that actually changing your diet is even more effective than changing the kind of car you drive. And also, this report basically saying that livestock accounts for 14.5% of global greenhouse emissions. And it suggests that people consume, as you say, 30% less. In other words, a third less, one meal a day.
That's correct.
Absolutely. So 14.5%, to put that in perspective, makes it the second largest sector for greenhouse gas emissions next to electrical generation. And it puts it in front of all of transportation combined. So all ships, all planes, all automobiles, and everything. So while it's wonderful to buy an electric car and so on, you're only attacking a smaller part of the problem. But changing our diet, our nutrition, is something we can do instantaneously if we choose to do it. And so it's the quickest way that we have for grabbing the thermostat of the planet and turning it down. All it takes is the will, the desire to do it. And that's where I think a book like Susie's comes in very, very handy.
And just remind everybody what it is about meat and the raising of meat to be eaten that causes environmental damage.
Oh, gosh, all the way around the world. So if you've got biodiversity loss, deforestation, ocean acidification, dead zones, climate change, glaciers melting, you can connect the dots from all of those environmental issues back to animal agriculture.
Yeah, it sounds crazy, but it's true. It's the single, like they're cutting down rainforests in Brazil to make cropland to grow feed for animals, for livestock. And it's ridiculously inefficient compared to just humans just eating the plants directly. It's like cutting out the middleman in a business deal.
You know, you watch these documentaries on the environment, you read the stories, and it's devastating, and it's actually paralyzing. And you think, what can I do as an individual to really make a difference? And, you know, some people can't afford solar or an electric car, things like that. So the fact that everybody eats every single day, it's a simple, elegant solution. It's non-judgmental. You can just dip your toe in it. And what you're putting on your plate actually makes a huge difference towards not only climate change, but your health as well.
Yeah, just the health of the planet. I mean, the quickest and easiest way for an individual to feel empowered and to make a difference and to be able to look at their face in the mirror in the morning and think, I'm making a difference, I'm doing something positive, not just for myself, my own health and my family's health, but for the health of the planet, is to change how we eat.
We really can't meet our Paris Accord numbers without addressing animal agriculture.
So I want to play a little clip from Avatar because, you know, even if you didn't really understand the planet and the climate, I mean, it was such a beautiful, beautiful depiction of what's at stake. And, of course, often our culture has stories of doom and gloom, and the hard news around climate is a lot of doom and gloom. So I wonder, when you were making this film, whether you thought about the impact of the beauty. I'm just going to play it, and then you can answer me.
To become Aronyu, hunter, you must choose your own Ikran, and he must choose you.
When?
When you are ready.
So it was obviously really very beautiful and had climate as its central theme, right?
Well, I think we can't protect that which we don't respect and love, and I think that all people are born with a certain connection to nature, and then as we live in a more urban environment and the world is going much more urban, we tend to lose it. And I think Avatar was a reconnection to that kind of childlike state of seeing the beauty in nature and feeling a personal connection to it. And we quite consciously made the film beautiful. Movies tend not to be beautiful. They tend to be spectacular often, but there's not an emphasis placed on beauty, just immersive. I want to be there in that world, beauty. And I thought this is the way to get people to care about the natural world, not by beating them over the head with some kind of message and some sense of blaming or a call to action. I think the best call to action is when you believe in something and you want to make a difference.
And do you use technology as not just a visual and a movie thing, but also as something to help with the environment? I mean, what kind of environmental rules and regs do you have on your shoots, for instance?
Well, thanks for asking that. We put in a 1 megawatt solar power system on the roofs of the sound stages to offset all the power consumption of our computers and so on that we use for the computer animation. So we're definitely net carbon negative from an energy perspective. But I also took inspiration from Susie's 1 meal a day program, and I convinced our crew, which is about 200 people, to eat plant-based during the day while they're on the production. So we serve only plant-based meals on the production. Our caterer, our restaurant there serves only plant-based meals, and everybody's, I don't know, everybody's loving it every meal. Some people go off campus to eat at a restaurant if they want to. They have that choice. But people have accepted it. They've accepted the wisdom of it, and they like the idea that we're the greenest set, probably the greenest set in history. We make all our own power, and we eat nothing but plants.
That's really interesting. Susie, you both consciously say plant-based, and that is kind of the new term for what used to be called vegan, right? Was vegan a little bit alienating?
You know, it's starting to make a shift, certainly. But initially, it was really a word that really revolved around becoming plant-based for ethical reasons.
Animal cruelty.
Animal cruelty.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of rules and regulations around that. Now, I've seen it just over the last 3 years. They're using it a lot, the word vegan, on a lot of, for marketing. Yeah. Vegan and plant-based. So people are starting to realize that that actually sells products.
There are a lot of people leaning forward that are curious about it or want to make a change for their own health or maybe for environmental reasons. They don't quite know where to start, or they feel like it's too much. Oh, I couldn't do that. I could never do that. And then they find out how easy it is and how good the food can be. And it makes a difference.
Yeah, and dipping their toe in just doing 1 meal a day, and typically they feel so great they end up doing 2. So it's an easy way into that world.
Right.
So that's good. That's encouraging. Now, I want to ask you, what is it with you, James Cameron, and strong women? You have married a couple of strong women. There's one sitting right there by you. There's the director, Catherine Bigelow, who was once your wife, and your characters, whether it's Aliens, whether it's Terminator.
I put my faith in women to change the world. I think men approach the world in a certain way that tends to be dominative and aggressive. It's just how men have been wired since the dawn of time, and it's expressed throughout our entire kind of Western colonial culture that we expand through the world and we dominate nature. And we're going to have to change that worldview. And I think we need a more female, kind of goddess-based perspective that, we have to nurture life, we have to care for it. I think that the great conflict of the future is going to be between the takers and the caretakers. So the taker is a male energy and the caretaker is a female energy. So I've always respected that, and I've celebrated women in the films that I've made, and I'm lucky enough to be married to a very strong, powerful caretaker warrior